What's good, YouTube? Alright, we gonna make a little video now about nutrition, I suppose. Little disclaimer, not a nutritionist, just had like 20 years of experience of sort of watching what I eat and tracking and all that stuff, all that fun stuff. I think that the basics, are really actually quite simple, and you've probably heard them all before, anyone who's watching this. But I'll give you a little insight into what I do and how I think about my nutrition, just depending on, I suppose, the season that I'm in, what I'm sort of trying to work on as far as my physique goes, or whether I'm eating for performance versus eating for an aesthetic, whether that's bulking, cutting, maintaining, whatever that might be. But the general rule of thumb, and that really doesn't change, and this pretty much just hits the whole nutrition basics on the head, is that I think what most people do is tend to not, people who aren't sort of nutrition focused and don't really have much idea about what they're doing or how they're eating, is that they don't base their meals around a protein source. So that's something that I do consciously. So when I'm either out to eat or making food at home, the protein source of the meal is always the primary objective, and then I build around that. So that in itself will be very, very beneficial for someone who's obviously training, but also trying to lose weight. Protein is basically a very satiating aspect to any meal. So and if you're not sure what satiating means, it just means keeps you fuller for longer and makes you feel full. Generally speaking, foods that I'm sure everyone's eaten something and then they're hungry again in half an hour or something, they're not really full for a long time, or they're hungry again. That's generally because whatever they're eating is very quickly digested and not satiating. So the first thing, if you want to lose weight, is working on foods that are more satiating, so keeping you full for longer, and then working on stuff that's like sort of lower calorie, more nutrient dense foods is the way to go if weight loss is your goal. Like I said, it can be very specific for certain people, but more so to your goals as far as your calories go. So having low calories is not the be all and end all if you're trying to lose weight, and having high calories if you're trying to gain weight is not necessarily the be all and end all either. And then eating for performance, you don't want to be just eating all kinds of shit just to so you feel like you're going to perform better, whether it be sport or in the workplace or whatever it might be. So yeah, getting back to it, I think working your meals around a protein source first, and then having 3 or 4 meals a day depending on your calorie intake is usually where most people sit in a comfortable sort of thing. So a meal earlier in the day, a meal during the day, and then a meal at night, and then something maybe to finish off the day. That's typically the way I structure my food, is around 4 meals a day, and trying to get sort of somewhere between 40 and 50 grams of protein per meal. That might sound like a lot to some people. I prefer a higher protein diet, and I actually prefer those type of foods as well. So your meats, your dairies, your fish, seafood, whatever it is that you like, chicken, all that sort of stuff. And if you're vegetarian, obviously you need to think a little bit harder and work on a little bit more, different types. But it's also doable. It's not you can always hit a higher protein even if you're on a vegetarian or vegan diet as well. Eggs are a big one too. Miss that one across the board. But yeah, basing the meals around that. So for example, today I've got So this is overnight oats, and I put protein powder in my oats to obviously bump up the protein of that meal. A little bit of Greek yogurt in there as well, just to give it that creamy sort of texture, and then the chocolate flavouring in the protein, and some berries on a few, 100 grams of berries or so on top, which ticks a few boxes. High in fibre, high in protein, some good antioxidants and vitamins and minerals and stuff in the choice, and then and in calorie wise it sits around 400 calories ish, give or take. So for me, and like I said, this is not for everyone. This is just what I like to do and what my calories are at the moment. Second meal is so it's a meat sauce with some vegetables and some beans. Pretty simple. And again, just hitting that around 50 grams of protein for that meal. It actually might be a little bit higher with the beans as well in there. And there's about 400 grams of veggies in that meal as well. So it's quite a big meal, keeps me full and gets me through the end of my day. So I'm not sort of snacking or looking for something to eat sort of around that 2-3 o'clock window where most people tend to start to fall off the wagon with their food choices. Everyone's sort of motivated at the start of the day or the start of the week even, and then they, as things become more available, like when you get home to snack on, to make poor choices around home, that's typically where most people sort of tend to binge or get more those really calorie dense foods that are not really giving you much as far as health or for your nutrition goals. But I think to give some sort of pointers, I suppose if you just work out 3 or 4 meals that you like, or even two's a good number to start with if you've got no idea what you're doing, and just make them consistent every day. And whether that's what you take to work or what you have for dinner or what you have for breakfast or whatever it might be, just make at least a couple of meals the same every day. Find something you like and enjoy and don't really get sick of, and you might just alter them over time slightly to, if you get bored of it or whatever. But the consistency thing is the big thing, and then when you start to be consistent with your nutrition, you can then start to adjust things accordingly to whether you're gaining weight, losing weight, maintaining whatever your goal is. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to change the types of foods you eat. You just need to alter the amounts that you eat to suit your goal. But the protein source is number one. That's very much a nutrition basic for me. Trying to get a couple of fruits and a few servings of veggies throughout the day, and a little bit of fibre here and there. So but if you're getting plenty of veggies or some oats or something like that in your meals, whole grain breads, whatever it might be, your fibre content should be high enough. It doesn't need to be super high, but just enough. Typically, again, depends how big you are to how much. So I'm not going to give any sort of pointers on how much you should take, but a good, for me, I'm about 80 kilos, give or take, and I like to hit around between 25 and 35 grams of fibre a day, for health reasons more than anything. But each to their own with that sort of stuff. Some people, their guts might not handle that amount. Some people might like more. Whatever suits you. This is not nutrition advice. This is just what I do, and I'm pretty. I won't say health. Oh, well, I am health conscious, very health conscious, but it's not like I'll still have a piece of pizza, I'll still eat pizza, or I'll still have a burger, or I'll still do things. But even in those situations, I tend to choose like good options or better options, and I'm conscious of it, of not overeating in those circumstances where calories are very easy to come by. And the one thing with nutrition is that you can't outrun the fork. So what I mean is it's very, going to do a workout and you might burn 500 calories in that workout. That's so easily consumed in a poor choice of food. A burger itself might be 800 calories, and then you throw some chips in on top of that, and then, you know, maybe if you're drinking a drink or something with it as well, there's, you know, you're well over 1,000 calories in one meal, and that's, you know, that for a lot of people, you know, unless you're sort of 120, 130 kilos plus, that's going to blow your calories way out of the ballpark. So it's just making those good decisions, and it's not to say you can't have those burger and chips. You've just got to account for it earlier in the day or later in the day, and just minimise the amount of calories you have in those days. But tick those boxes. Try and get, you know, 100, you know, depending on how big you are, somewhere, you know, if you're on the lighter end, sort of, you know, 50, 60 kilograms, sort of, you know, you want 120-ish grams of protein. The general rule of thumb that I try and stick to is about 2 to 2.5 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So if you stick to those numbers, and that's the other thing too, like I might get into doing some tracking and stuff later down the track, but that's until you sort of know, I suppose, how much what's worth. It's a good idea to actually weigh some foods and get some understanding of the calorie content of a meal. So anyway, guys, that's the nutrition basics. Get your protein in. You know, choose some good sources, and as in sources of protein, and build your meals around that, and that'll start to get things going in the right direction. If anyone does have any questions, like I said, I'm not going to give any hard, fast advice in a YouTube video, but it's I've been doing it, and I've been sort of really passionate about that side of things for quite a number of years. So got a lot of experience with my own body and then other people as well, and I feel like I've got a bit to offer in that area. So if anyone does want some help or some guidance along that way, just reach out. You know, I'm more than happy to help, or, you know, get some, give you some pointers that are going to help you achieve whatever you want to do, especially going, you know, start of the year and everyone's sort of all motivated to, you know, be the best they can be. And that's what this channel's about too, is also everyone just leveling up and just progressing in small little increments and sustainable increments, and that's what, you know, if you're really trying to change your nutrition, that's the best way to do it. It's not just to do it all in one big go. Just take little steps at a time and just start to tick a few boxes, and it becomes easier over time. All right, guys, that's it for today. Go out, get some protein in you, and yeah, you'll certainly notice some differences. All right, guys, thanks.